Hey everyone, and welcome to this edition of the Jitsi Community Code. So the one thing that I wanted to start with is that you should now, OWN users out there should now have noticed the fact that it is possible to launch with the latest packages an interconnect with telephony for local installs fairly easily. We're very interested in feedback on this. So if anyone has anything to say, please feel free to share. Anyone else from the team? Anything to share with the crowd here? All right. Anyone else from the community? Any questions or comments for today? Well, looks like this is going to be one of those codes. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining. We'll see you again in 2 weeks.
Just something. I'm not sure. Can we? Hi. Sorry. So we're 3 students from France, and we're working with France Université Numérique. And so, is it now the right time to maybe introduce a feature we were planning on adding? Maybe we've been working on this for a few weeks and trying to.
Of course, by all means.
Great, thanks. So we prepared a few slides. Just let me turn on my camera. Hi. So let me share my screen. Oops, sorry. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can see.
Yes.
Perfect. So we are focusing on bringing accessibility to Jitsi Meet, and we are planning on adding subtitles to Jitsi, but instead of using the Google API, we'd like to use a fully open source services. So we'd like to currently there's VOSK. And we'd like to add multilingual transcription services as well as a translation service. So mimic the Google API features and bring everything to open source. And so we already have VOSK and our plan. So we have two goals and 2 things we're working on at the same time. So the first thing would be
what is VOSK?
Oh, VOSK is a speech-to-text transcription service. And it's been implemented in Gigazi for somewhere around a year now, and it allows you to transcribe the conference live and have a live transcription. However, it only works for one specific language at the moment, so you have to in the code, you have to hard code the language. So if you want to use French, if you want to use English, if you want to use Spanish, etc., you can only have one language at a time. And so our goal would be to be able to transcribe multiple languages at the same time. So kind of like what Google API does, as well as to translate those languages. So in order to do that, we would be using VOSK, but multiple instances of VOSK, and having like a routing system that would open the correct WebSocket depending on the requested language. So that would be the first option. And the second option would be to use a new service by OpenAI called Whispering. So it's a brand new project that uses OpenAI's Whisper and implements the same feature as VOSK, so live text-to-speech. And so we already have a pull request open it's a draft for now, but that would implement this feature, and it allows to have multilingual transcription service, sorry. So that would be the 2 features regarding transcription. And now regarding translation, we would be using Libre Translate, which is an HTTP service. So it's a REST API that translates text to text, and would be using that to implement translation in any language. So our question is, were there any plans already maybe for such a service? Are we Are we conflicting with anything? Is there something somebody maybe we can talk to help us figuring things out and to.
Yeah, gotcha. All right. So first of all, thank you very much for stopping by. This is the spirit. I actually was chatting with Sue today about you guys. Now, what I heard was a desire to work on accessibility, which is of interest. You didn't talk about this here. Is that just a separate thing? Is that someone else from?
There's the same Samuel here.
Hi,
Sorry.
Samuel. Long time no chat.
Yes, hello. So that's another person working on this. It's an accessibility expert. So he opened an issue with a bunch of points that he's going to now treat as pull requests. So that's another person, but the same project, same financing for this.
Okay, I get it.
Right.
All right, so this is entirely different. All right, so a few thoughts here, and this is very perfunctory because I'm not sure I understand the full depth of what you're suggesting. The first thing is that we did actually work on multi-language support for transcriptions, and I'm not sure if what you're saying is, yes, I've seen it, but we'd like to extend it, or you haven't seen what we've done in that domain.
So what we've seen is that you have that service multilingual transcription for using Google API. So everything is set up in Gigazine, the code, there are classes, etc. Everything is set up to support Google's API. However, that does not work with VOSK from our understanding. What we've looked at the code and we couldn't find a way to have multilingual transcription work with VOSK. So hopefully we're not wrong, but that's that. Our goal would be to have that service available with VOSK, multilingual transcription with VOSK. Yeah, if that's clear.
Maybe to some extent. I'll probably need some more explaining. Okay. Another comment, and maybe that's what you're suggesting already, but I just want to make sure that that's the case. We've gone for Google because that was the most obvious option. If we're to go and change from that, we probably wouldn't change to use another specific thing. The way that we would change is some sort of an abstraction where you want to keep using Google, you want to keep you want to switch to other things. So is that what you're suggesting, or are you suggesting a shift?
Oh no. Okay. Just like something you can enable in the configuration to switch from one another depending on your preferences.
Damien, you had a comment?
Yeah, I have been looking this morning at the PR about the translation thing, and I left some comments. The comments were fixed, and I was just thinking to merge that PR. So the translation part of that, and it's a separate service. You can configure it as VOSK, so everything.
All right.
As before.
Good. Well, was there more work beyond this PR then?
Yeah, that was my question.
It's a separate. Well,
there is a pull request on the translation, and there is a separate pull request on the which is currently still a draft on the transcription part. So we're not proposing to shift from Google to another service. We're trying to implement this because some organizations who host Jitsi on their servers are not allowed to. Are not.
No, I understand why people would be constrained not to use Google. I'm just wanting to make sure that what we're talking about here is extending the options, not changing the options.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So that makes sense. But Damien, you haven't seen this other PR, have you?
Kind of seen it, but yeah, it's a draft, so I
All right. Well, we're going to and beyond these two PRs. So are you guys saying that this is it? The work that you're suggesting, it's already done, and you've made the PRs, and this is it, or is this just the first step toward a bigger thing?
I'd say we are. So in terms of the transcription service with whispering, everything is ready. So if we plan on using whispering instead of Google API just for transcription, everything is ready, everything is set up, it's ready to work. But the bottleneck right now is whispering because it's a brand new project, so we have to wait a little bit until it's more mature and ready for production.
Is that the whisper thing? Is that subject to the same OpenAI stuff? Do you like kind of have to not freely available for download, but you have to write them, promise them that you use it for good and not for bad? Is that the same sort of deal there? That it was
No,
for GPT?
It's fully open source. I think it's fully open source.
Which is it's freely available to download. You don't have to ask for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's on
Okay.
GitHub. The code is on GitHub. Everything is.
All right. And what exactly does Whisper do? It's just transcription. That's it.
Yeah, Whispering is a WebSocket transcription server that uses. It just you put the audio in input, and then it gives you the text that you have said, but in a JSON format.
It detects the language you are talking
Yeah,
in.
also.
It allows for multilingual detections, detection and transcription, and you don't have to specify the language. You can switch to Spanish, to French, and it works. It works more. It works better than the VOSK.
Yeah.
So that's why we were interested in this project to implement it on with Jitsi.
Did you guys have an opportunity to test to check results about evaluations, comparisons between OpenAI and say Google or Microsoft or any of the other ones?
Actually, we were looking for an open source solutions. That's why we didn't really use Google.
If I understand your question correctly, you asked if we had a comparison between all the services.
Yeah, right. Have you maybe come across one?
No.
Okay,
not
all
yet.
right. Well, that's fair enough. Like that's not the constraint. You want something that you can run yourselves. That makes sense. All right. Well, great. Thank you. We're going to have a look at it. So was already looking at the accessibility stuff, but that's different, as Samuel said. Damien was about to merge one of the PRs, and then I guess we're going to make sure that someone checks the other one as well.
Okay.
Good job.
Just one question. It's a bit. Maybe I'm not sure if this is the right time to get into a little specifics, but there is a new feature since the latest stable release of Jitsi Meet. There is something you can choose the language of the subtitles you are requesting.
Yes.
And, so the problem we have is in order to use VOSK, to implement it with multi-language transcription, you have to select a source language and a target language if you want the translation as well. So our issue is right now there's only one language you can select, and you can only select either you can use that language as a target, either you can use it as a source. Our solution would be kind of limited by the UI. What we are trying to do is there maybe somebody who can. How can we
just add an option that says detect and use
Okay.
that option?
Okay, we can
Detect
maybe
automatically or something like that, and then if you're looking to just solve the UI issue, that's just how you solve it. I'm even happy for that to be the default. Well, I don't know if that would work with Google actually, but we can figure that out. Yeah, just detect automatically. Add that as an option. You can own that option. And what we're going to have to figure out what to do with it if there's no VOSK configured. You might do something based on the locale or something like that. But we can do that. Yeah.
Okay, so I think that's it for us.
Let me understand something. So that lets you, when you're using this thing, it lets you switch languages for the same participant. Just say a sentence in French and then a sentence in English, and it's going to work.
Yeah,
That's what
that's
you're saying.
whispering. That would be whispering. Yeah.
All right.
And VOSK doesn't support. It's only
detection.
one language, so you have to switch the model.
And the problem is the input language, right? Not the output language. Obviously, is going to be always one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that should work that way then. And
maybe one more information for you, Emil. Between VOSK and Whisper, there's one difference. That is, Whisper requires GPU, so like much more processing power. But the quality of transcription is much better, and it's better in noisy environments, and it's better for accents. It's really
better
good
than what?
better than VOSK, and I think we could compare it to Google's quality.
You
But
could. So have you seen comparisons, or just?
Yeah, there are comparisons on OpenAI's about page.
Okay.
They are-
And I'm absolutely unfamiliar with VOSK. We haven't used that, so I don't.
I think we don't have complete tests that could like really give you figures, but
Right. But we like it better, so it must be better.
The feeling when you use it, the feeling when you use both is very really
Right.
obviously you can tell the difference. But we would need to make it
like a few years ago when we started with the transcriptions, it was Nick Vassen who was working on that as part of the Google Summer of Code, and he was in the beginning he was doing that. He was doing the comparison between IPM and Google and stuff like that. So if you're interested in something like that, you can ping him. I can help you pinging him.
Yeah, and that would still be very. That would be a good thing to do, obviously, but it would be very. I mean, the comparisons that we did were based on were rather time consuming and not that extensive. So even for a short test of like what it was, like a few minutes of speech, it required a lot of time, and it was just a few minutes of speech. So I guess we could just test empirically by seeing how many people end up using one or the other. Right. Okay. I don't think I have any more questions. This is great. I'm glad that you guys have done that. And I'm looking forward to seeing it operate.
Okay, great. So that's it for us. And if we can do anything else or provide.
Yeah, keep pushing. So that's important. It may be that we're going to try and check the PR. If you don't see any attention within a week, don't hesitate. Keep asking.
Okay. Sure.
Keep sending interrupt requests. Don't hesitate to do that.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you.
Thank you for your contribution. Anything else?
Yes, I was planning on hosting some events on one of my Jitsi customizations over the next few weeks. Can I post this in the uncategorized section on the forum, or would you like me to not do that?
Is it you're hosting an event on something that you've changed, but what is it? What is the event about? If it's of interest, if it's compatible with Jitsi?
It's probably going to be a generic, I guess, more of a tech event, probably startup. But I could just only do it talking about Jitsi, or possibly talking about the changes I've made or the changes other people have made to their projects.
So there will be a Jitsi presentation there.
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Thank you for asking. All right. Anyone else? So I see a question from Dario. Dario, you're always interested in the next codec, aren't you? There's it's never good enough. No, there's no progress on AV1 at this point. Where can I get slides? Oh, I think that must have been about I don't know if the fun guys want to share whether they've made their slides available. Oh, they already did, actually. Okay, great. So that's closed. Is Arabic transcription in the roadmap? Well, that depends on the people maintaining the transcription services. So not really a Jitsi question. And on top of that, apparently Whisper supports it. I wonder if Google supports it too, and we just haven't done it because of the right to left stuff. I'm not sure. And that's it. Are there any other questions from here? Okay. So this wasn't as short as I thought, but it was great. Thank you everyone for joining. And I wish you an absolutely wonderful couple of weeks, and then we'll see you again. Bye-bye.